Hi beautiful souls, it's Tan back here with another video in our Pluto series, and today I want to talk about Pluto in the 6th house. So I've made a Pluto introduction video. I highly recommend that you check out that video first so you can kind of get a holistic understanding of the power, the light of Pluto, as well as the darkness of Pluto, which we all know there's a lot of that. So if you've been keeping up with the channel and you like the content that I put out, you can support me on a platform called coffee.com by buying me a coffee. The support that you provide me with will go into purchasing tools and equipments that I need to purchase in order to make these YouTube videos for you guys, as well as do birth chart readings. And thank you to everyone who has already supported me on Coffee. I really appreciate all the support. So in these Pluto videos, I really feeling the Pluto energy and I want to kind of roll with it. So I may say things that may feel to you a bit like it's exposing you or that you may not want to hear. So it's up to you if you want to continue to proceed with the video after you start watching it. But that's how Pluto rolls, and I want to be as transparent with these Pluto videos as I can be. So with Pluto in the 6th house, your transformation, the biggest transformation in your life, comes from you being able to break away from the perfectionist trap. So the reason why you may be in a perfectionist trap in the first place may have come from either it was a past life or an early life situation in which there were things that you did that maybe it's your family or your teacher. They made you feel like you had to set the standards for your performance. Most likely it's in school, very high. And they may have subtly, but they're not doing this on purpose, but they may have subtly instilled a feeling of guilt within you when you didn't meet those particular very high standards. But the reason why this is triggering you more than a lot of other people could be that it was that in a past life you may have been somebody who actually, may have done things that wasn't considered to be of right conduct. So therefore, this is why the feelings of guilt can creep up to you much quicker and affect you much more than somebody who didn't have this Pluto placement, for example. So this can look like, let's say you have a sibling, right? And your sibling, let's say they got straight A's, and you in school when you were younger, you got all A's except one subject you had a B or a B minus. And your parents may, without them really realizing it, say things that made you feel like they're comparing you to the sibling, or that, well, why didn't you get all A's? It's not something that they're going to be doing it in your face, but it's definitely there. But a lot of people will just be like, oh well, it doesn't, who cares? I'm proud of what I did. But when you have Pluto in the 6th house, this type of a situation triggers that past life or subconscious feeling. Maybe it was even very, very much early on in your life where something happened. Maybe in a past life you did something that was not of right conduct, like you did something that was immoral. And these types of childhood situations triggered that particular past experience that you probably can't even remember what it was. When it comes to whether you're in school or whether you have a career, if you are working in a company, for example, with colleagues and an employer, you're going to have this attitude or this way of going about your work where you're very serious. You get to work early, maybe even, or you're always on time, and you work and work and work, and you don't really talk much or have much going on with your colleagues. And sometimes, maybe they want to go out for drinks after work, but you don't really feel like you want to, or maybe sometimes you do, but it's not very often, and you're not the friendliest person. You can be friendly to certain people, but your colleagues are likely to view you as somebody very powerful, like you're very capable at work. And this loop is feeding back and forth, meaning when you feel like people have high expectations of you, you have to push yourself even more to meet their expectations, and so you really can't spare 5 minutes or much time in the day to socialize or to play around because of these expectations that you yourself have. Your aura generates, so the people expected a lot of you, and then you have to feed that in return, so you generate more expectations for yourself. So that's one of the ways that this could manifest. Another way that this can manifest is that you may be very strict with your routine, because the 6th house does rule health and nutrition and diet. And when you are being triggered, because sometimes you have particular routines that you feel if you follow, it's going to lead to better performance at work, or you're going to be able to produce work that is of astounding quality. It's like you need to generate this energy throughout your routine. So maybe, you need to drink a particular type of tea in the morning, and you need to start work at a particular time, and you need some particular music on to generate your ability to work, and then you need no disturbance while you're actually working. And if there's the tiniest what's the word I'm looking for? Distraction or change in the environment that causes something to go off in your routine. If you haven't yet kind of worked with this energy and you're kind of in the shadow phase, you may feel very extremely irritated or angry, especially if there's a transit as well and you have Pluto here. But yeah, so it can be hard for people who are living with you on a daily basis to really understand or to be more closer to you. Unless you're living with somebody who's quite Scorpionic, they may understand this type of energy. But other than that, people can kind of keep their distance from you, and they can understand. It's not that they're scared. It's just that sometimes it can be that they see how hard you're working, and depending on the type of culture or society that you kind of are in, these people may be okay with that. They may understand the need to work hard, and they may kind of back away and then understand that you need to work. But other cultures or other societies may not quite get this. But anyways, and when it comes to exercise and diet, you can be extreme because there's this feeling like you need to this unconscious feeling that if you could keep your body in shape, or if you could eat the best types of food for you, that's going to make you a good person or a better person, subconsciously atoning for any guilt that was instilled, whether that's in a very early childhood or in a past life. Meaning that even early childhood, you had some sort of, not saying all Pluto placement is going to have this, but if you did have some kind of eating disorder, or kind of maybe for a period of your life you were called or picked at with regards to your diet, like if people tell you that you're so skinny, you don't eat enough, when you are already full and you can't eat anymore, or maybe your parents keep telling you that you have to finish the food on your plate, because if you don't, then the farmers have wasted their efforts making this food for you, and we've spent money buying food. There's this unconscious feeling that you can undo that, or at least find the most perfect possible diet for you, so that you no longer have to feel guilty or feel the shame that those early voices were playing around in your head. So that's the way that this can play out, kind of at the shadow frequency of it. So if we dig this a little bit deeper, so this is like something that happens kind of You can see this, it's on the surface level. But if we dig this even deeper, you're trying to be perfect by being very good at your work, at your job, by looking good with regards to exercise and diet. And sometimes people who have this Pluto placement go cold turkey when they want to pursue a particular diet. Both of these things, they're coming from a deeper subconscious feeling that if you could improve yourself, this is the service that you can give to the world to atone for any guilt. So, because Pluto is a part of us that's always having to do with our insecurities, there's a bit of an ego that can be tied to Pluto. So you really have to question yourself. You want to be really good with your work, whatever type of career you have. You're telling yourself that it's because your clients, the people you're trying to offer services to, because they really need it and you can give it better than anybody else can give it. But how does that make you feel? It makes you feel, if you get really honest with yourself, it probably makes you feel like you're good enough. Because otherwise, you're not good enough. And that has this tie of the ego involved. That's not purity. That's not purity of spirit, and that is not purity of service. You can never be good enough by trying to do more, by meeting certain standards. The perfectionist trap here is that, this is probably going to be a little bit ironic, but you're looking at some of the best people in the world who have produced excellent work, like Albert Einstein or Meryl Streep, and you want to be like that. But what you haven't realized, this Pluto placement, are the pains they had to go through to get where they are, the mistakes they've had to make and learn from to get where they are. So when you take away the mistakes that these really capable people have made in order to get where they are, once you've taken the pains they've had to go through, once you've taken away their process, you thought the standard was here that you're trying to get to, but the standard now becomes here, because how that person got here, they've learned from their mistakes. They've improved on themselves. They've received criticism and sometimes even judgment. They've kind of used that as a way to improve, and they got there. But what you're doing with Pluto in this placement is you don't see that. You took all that out. You're like, wow, this person is capable. So what you've actually unconsciously done is you've actually lowered their standards to here, and this becomes your standard. So what you've actually done is that once you've unconsciously lowered your standard, you don't put enough effort now. You do feel unconsciously, you're feeling like, I should just be appreciated, or I should just be able to climb the career ladder, I should just get enough followers or get enough money when I work, and I'm good at what I do, I'm serving people, I'm offering my services, I've reached this level, but why am I not feeling like I'm good enough? Why am I not getting what I really want to get? It's because you haven't gotten here where those people actually are, because you've took out the insecurities that can come with criticism, mistake. These things make you feel very insecure. So you've unconsciously taken that out to lower the standard. So you got here, but it didn't quite make you feel like how those people felt when they were up there. Well, it's because if you could be humble with yourself, increase your humility with yourself, be softer with yourself, and allow yourself to make mistakes, allow yourself to grow, receive some positive criticism, grow from that, you could get up here, you could get higher than here. And then you will receive the recognition, the money, the service, the success that you want to achieve. I hope it's kind of making sense, guys. So that is the perfectionist trap of Pluto in the 6th house. So when you're in this perfectionist trap, what you're gonna tend to do is that you're gonna get, so we've got 2 standards, right? So you've got here, but you haven't received the recognition or whatever it is that you want to achieve, the success of up here, right? You begin to analyze yourself now. So now you go into a spiral. Okay, I'm going to start fixing myself, and I'm going to start fixing myself, and this is what I did wrong. And you can strip yourself bare naked in the process of trying to discover yourself and exposing yourself to your own weaknesses. But you're not, it's not getting you up to that point because you're not doing it with awareness. You're trying to fix at this level. Why didn't I get what I needed to get? You're going down here and you're trying to fix everything here, but when you're fixing everything down here, it still leads you to the standard. So it gets to this point where you begin to freeze and you become like a hermit and you feel like, I don't know what to do now. I'm stuck. Sometimes this can lead to you trying to get even more busy to avoid this isolation, this lonely period, trying to get more busy, but it's not producing anything, or when you're getting busy, you're disconnecting from your internal self even more. So what do we do? You have the ability to become somebody who can be of purity of spirit. The service that you can really offer is healing because it's coming from a place of purity. And purity comes when you understand, first of all, that you're part of something much bigger than yourself. Meaning that when you get an idea for work or you get some kind of project that you have to do, what does the world really need from you in terms of this particular project? That's going to spark a certain ability to, produce the right way or with efficiency. So that initial burst of things that you want to produce, that's pure. Don't fix it. Okay, let's say that you're a writer. Let's say you're a writer, for example, and you begin to write, and now you feel like you need to fix everything that you start doing when you're writing because you don't want that mistake. So you want the standard to be here, so you start fixing everything as you're beginning to write. And the work is no longer pure if you're trying to fix in the process because you don't allow room for the mistake to happen, the criticism to happen. So the work is not pure. But if you just write, this is an example, if you just write to the end of your novel, you allow that standard to be up here and you make all these mistakes along the way. People are criticizing you along the way, but you've written everything, you've got up there. Now you can go back and try to fix what's leading you up to that point. You can begin to improve on what has gotten you up to that point. That is still pure. Because once you've spent energy trying to fix or trying to adjust along the way without allowing the room for the mistake or the criticism, you're stifling that energy and it's no longer pure. This process will allow you to have a connection with the divine because you're understanding that the universe gives you what you need at the right time. You flow with it. The mistakes that you make is who you are. It's just a part of you. If you could flow with that. Think about it like this. This is another really good analogy. It's like when you get sick, right? Your body naturally knows how to heal from the sickness. But if you resort immediately to taking pills or drugs in order to cope with the sickness, the natural process of the body learning to heal itself is no longer there. And you've disrupted the purity of what the body has to offer you there. And that can even lead to addiction, of needing to take in more pills because there's an immediate effect or result, rather than kind of going with the flow of the healing process. It's kind of like that within the work that you do, is that these, any criticism or constructive criticism, there's a reason for it. Any type of mistake that you make along the way, there's a reason for it. You will need to let go of the insecurity that you feel inside the moment that you get a constructive feedback, or the moment that you get any type of feedback, and immediately your heart is beating so fast and you get so anxious and you get so nervous that you can't really, that you would rather just run away from it. If you could push through that, take a deep breath and see. Usually if you have Pluto in the 6th house, you're already producing work that is way ahead of your time and way more capable than a lot of other people out there. But it's that strange, insecurity that's stopping you from getting you up to that standard that I talked about previously. Meaning that you could already be getting an A for 6 subjects in school, but there's 1 B, and you're trying to fix that 1 B, rather than moving on and understanding what were the real mistakes there, and then in the future fixing that as a growth process, but appreciating and being grateful for the 6 A's that you've got. I mean, that's really great. So you're already super capable than you think you are. You're already enough without having to try much, without having to push yourself so hard. This Pluto placement, you just have to be there. You just have to show up. You just have to breathe. And the work that you provide is just already naturally of an amazing standard, because it's always going to be pure. Don't taint it. Don't taint its purity. Don't intoxicate its purity. So that's going to be my interpretation of Pluto in the 6th house. If you have this, do comment below and let us know what your experiences have been. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button if you haven't. If you already subscribed, then thank you very much for coming along. I do birth chart readings, synastry, and relationship readings. All the information is on my website. You can check that out. And yeah, that's it, beautiful souls. Bye.